comment, well, give your full name.
David Janke, 8428 Eastwood Road. Good evening, Mayor and council members.
Good evening.
I'm very concerned about, I watched the last work session and some of the, I would like to ask you, Mr. Lenke, to take the lead on this, and also council members following. We've got to do some heavy-duty thinking about what we're spending here. I don't think our city hall is falling down. I think we can wait. I think we're in quite a bad situation with the state and everything, and what we're going to get cut. So this agenda for the city hall, these purchases, I think we could get by with another year or so. And when I heard Pawlenty and what he's going to cut, I think if we're going to end up, we're going to get nothing. And you know, I agree with him. Any department head or any city administrator that can't cut 5% off of their budget should be fired. That's what he said. That's not what I'm saying. I don't want anybody to get fired, but I truly believe what he said. And I don't think there's been one effort here. I've heard Roger and some of the squeakier ones. Shouldn't use that word, but he's very conservative. Ask for 2% and 3% and get voted down. I think it's a critical time right now that we've got to buckle in. And Jerry, I'm asking you to take the lead on this. I think it wouldn't be out of line to ask department heads to look at every one of their things and see if we can't get by another year or so to see what this economy turns out. And I'm really serious about that. And like what he says, department, I know I was in supervision, you're in some type of supervision, we all do the big wish list and then they chop us anyway, but some leaders got to chop along the way. The unfortunate part right now is, well, Jim, you know, he's the deal there, but we haven't got a full-time, or we haven't got a city administrator hired yet. But I'm asking you to do that, and if there's any comments back to me why you shouldn't, I'd certainly like to know.
And I David, I'm going to speak for myself. I'm not going to speak for the other council members. I agree with you to a point. There is a point where you hit diminishing returns, where you start cutting so deep, and you, as a department head, you know what I'm talking about, where you get so deep or get a piece of equipment that is so old, it costs you more to run it than it would be to get rid of it and get a piece of equipment that's going to do the job. For example, we've got on the agenda this evening a piece of equipment that's over 15 years old. That is now costing us, trying to repair it. I mean, you look at the amount to, every week you can see something in there for, this, that,
and I'm not saying
$100 a week,
right,
to keep it running. It isn't worth it.
I know exactly what we're talking about. We had fork truck semis, but somewhere each department head has got to look into their things and say, you know what, we can get by without this.
And if you've heard, I think this council has stated, okay, when they give us that wish list, okay, look at it, prioritize it, and then let's take a look at when we get something in here. Because right now, we're looking at over $300,000 this year, if the numbers are going that he's looking at now, and $600 next year.
And I think it's going to be worse.
Almost 700.
Yeah, it's getting closer to 700 now. And the whole thing is yeah, it's going to be tough.
I mean, like the city hall, 200, I don't know, I haven't got the numbers.
That's the number if we did everything on the wish list.
Right.
I don't even think that number would take care of everything on the wish list, knowing construction the way I do.
And like I said, I don't think our city hall is falling down. And I don't want to take any more time. I'm just saying somebody better take the lead and really get by another year and ask department heads, where can you cut? We got to cut.
And Dave, the problem is, I don't think getting by with just 1 year is going to do it.
No, but that's a start, Jerry.
Yep, right. I realize. I agree with you. My problem is right now we're sitting back. We're 2 officers short. And we're looking at some things that we're going to keep that short. And unfortunately, someplace when we talk in health and safety,
when things like this, we got to sacrifice a little paths and stuff. I like paths, parks, and everything, but I think in this point we do have to sacrifice something.
And that's why we're looking for alternative ways to, we've got funds with, that we have now, let's say TIF funds, that we can utilize, things that will be, health, safety, and welfare, that we don't take it, we're not taking it from the tax base.
Make them count. Thank you.
Yes. Rob?
I think now too that the writing on the wall is really pretty clear. I feel that we probably should have a meeting to figure out the finances of the city and what we can cut. I saw in the one of the local papers that New Brighton is already ahead of us. They've already met on this. I don't really see that we can sit on this any longer. I think we should probably have another work session, possibly on the 17th, to start looking at where we can cut and what we have to keep, and because they're not going to be easy decisions, but I think we need to get started on this.
I agree, Rob. I think we do need to look at this. It's scary, looking at these big numbers. It's getting scary, and it's going to be even scarier next year, so.
I also agree. I think we have to be proactive and wait until the hammer crunch falls and then see, well, what are we going to do now? I think we have to get it further ahead.
I was kind of hoping that we could start this process, the 17th sounds good to me. I was hoping it was going to have an administrator at least be getting close, but I don't think that's going to happen at this point in time for that kind of a decision. But, yeah, we've got to start that process, looking at what we got, where we're going. The problem right now is we really don't have a roadmap as to where we're going. And to be able to make cuts, we've got to make those decisions to start that process of looking at, where we want to be, and with what we've got, that distance is getting cut real short. And what we can do with the finances we've got, we've got to assume that we're losing almost $400,000 this year out of the funds we've got coming, and so we're going to have to do some trimming there and look at next year, because we've got to start planning for next year, this year, because waiting until January next year is too late. So if council is agreed, we set a work session for the 17th of March, 7 o'clock?
Yep.
Okay.
Too bad Charlie's not here, because he's going to have a lion's share of this, but all the department heads will have to see what they can trim to.
Right. I think that could be a start, Jim, is planning the department heads to look at those items, look at the wish lists we've got out there, what we're not going to be able to do. It's not what we, it's a simple case we can't do it.
Yep, that's already in the works.
Great, thank you very much. Anyone else? If I may barge in here a moment. At this point in time, council members, in all my life, in sitting at this council for 12 years prior to this, in council member or mayor category, council does not need to provide a written form for information. We are the authority here, and if we need information or feel we need information to do our job, it should be provided to us, and we shouldn't need to go begging for it. And that's one thing that disturbed me greatly. We are an open society, and unless it is something for data practices, we have to keep on whatever form. Anything else that we need, we should have, and we shouldn't have to wait for it.
That issue was brought up, and I feel the same way you did, but maybe you could ask the attorney for a legal opinion on that, because when I brought this up, that I thought that this council should have access to that stuff because they had to run, I thought the answer that I got was legally they had to do the same thing as I did. Can you give him a legal opinion on that?
And that's consistent with the statute. That is a recommendation from the League of Cities.
See,
That's why
Jerry,
the council has been doing it that way.
Yeah, see, I,
and I agree with you, but legally, I don't know if they can do it.
Right, and that is true. There is no exception in the statute that says council members don't need to
I mean,
have-
it's nothing
Yeah.
against what he should do. He went and researched it, and this is
Right.
what I
Yeah.
found out.
Right, and that's all I'm saying. The statute does not have any type of exception. The Department of Administration
God.
says there is no exception. So, I mean, that's the response the council had before.
okay, I guess in all the years, to do my job, for me to have to beg for information is ludicrous.
And I understand
Since the
that.
person that is holding the information works for us, we are the bosses, how they can retain that or keep that from us. And I mean, that's what was happening, is the information, even after it was requested, was being kept from council, is wrong. And, I mean, I don't think that the request personally has to be in writing, they just have to request it. And why it would need to be in writing, they just need to go to Jim and say, I would like this information. Some of the information we're gonna request in the past has been of having privacy issues. At that point in time, it is given to you in an envelope, said confidential, privacy, you don't show anybody. You get done with it, either you just, then you turn it back in, but at least you have that opportunity to look at it. That's been the practice, or that's what has happened in the past.
Could the city administrator get into a legal problem, though, doing that?
We are the author, to me,
No,
we
but
are
I
the
mean,
ultimate authority.
legally, if we, Jerry, all I'm saying is, it isn't, he probably agrees, but legally, we gotta do the right thing. I agree with you 100%, it don't make no sense to me, but legally,
If a question is raised in written form or in verbal form, I don't see,
But you have a policy that you've adopted that requires it to be in writing. The statute requires that a responsible authority be designated in the city. It's been designated as the clerk administrator.
So
And they have
there is-
certain obligations that they have to
Yeah.
fulfill under the
there
statute.
is a policy by this.
Oh, yes,
something-
Yes.
you definitely have a policy.
Okay, I've not seen that,
Oh, yeah.
because the policy hadn't.
Yeah, you've had it for quite some time. It is statutorily mandated to be adopted.
Okay,
And doesn't it go by first come, first served?
well, they have 10 days.
I don't know
to provide it.
administratively how you do that, but I'm just saying what,
There's also a statute as to how many days they have to provide it also. within-
for certain information, other it's reasonable.
When I was first elected, my first term, we came up with a policy at the council. Remember, Roger, we had those council request forms
Still in.
for whatever we wanted or needed. So this way, if you say something to somebody in passing and they forget, then there is a record of it. I have no problem, with just jotting down, and turning it into Jim or whoever is the administrator. However, just the fact that requests that have been turned in just have never been answered, that bothers me. And in talking with mayors and council members in other cities, they couldn't believe that information was withheld from the council. They said, well, they just go in and ask for it. But if the city does have this policy, we could just grab one of those forms, council request, council member request, and just jot that down. That way, there would be some sort of record of it instead of just a verbal, because not the previous administrator, but the administrator prior to that would get busy and just kind of overlook some things, where as if we had just the council member request form, I think that would be, in my knowledge, that would suffice.
Would a email suffice as a request?
It's in writing.
Certainly would to me.
At least it can be printed out. Roger?
I guess I'm a little concerned about, i.e. the formality we're trying to go through here.
Right.
If I'm going to ask a question of you, I don't see why I have to come down to City Hall and fill out a form, give it to you, or get on a computer and email you, or my email incidentally, the city doesn't work. I receive stuff, I can't send stuff. I go through all that hassle, and Jim's, all I want to know is, I can ask you a question. Now, if you're not diligent enough to write it down, next time I ask you, I'll certainly remind you that I brought it to your attention.
Oh, and I know you do that.
So there should be no problem. I just don't like this real form.
And I agree.
Councilmember Stigney, if you have some outstanding requests for information that have yet been filled, please let me know what those are, and I'll fill those for you. I looked through any...
You don't have a file with 3 on me?
No.
Always
No, I do not.
Doesn't surprise me.
You know what?
the shredders are for.
There may be a file with your requests in it.
Like I said, that's what the shredders are for.
Just let me know tomorrow, and I'll get you your information.
Fine. Anything else? Now that we kind of beat that one up a little bit.
Well, that's important.
Yes, well, I thought it was very important. It's frustrated me since